Well, it's the Astra again. I thought I was done with this car, but there you go. It keeps on throwing up more fun and entertainment for me. This time I'm driving back, it's the night, and it's really cold, and I'm very aware I'm getting cold air blown on my legs. Now if that happens, what that generally means is you have run out of coolant. And I know this because this has happened at least 4 times before. I've had the radiator fail twice on this, and all the pipes on the EGR and the heater matrix have failed at the back of the engine. This time, however, it's not the radiator or any of those little pipes, it's something different. So I'll zoom in and show you what joy I have today. So hopefully you can see that. As I've put water in the expansion tank, the water is dripping out of the water pump. So that's today's job, change the water pump. So this is the replacement. I'm showing you this mainly because it shows you where you're going to have to undo the bolts. Now 2 of them you can actually get to from the side, and the other 2 you actually get by putting a socket through the pulley. You should be able to get to them through that way. Obviously to undo this you are going to have to release the tension on that auxiliary belt. So that's the first part of this job. Okay, I don't know how successful this is going to be, but I'll give it a go. So right at the top of the picture you can see the idler pulley. At the bottom you can see, or the bigger pulley is the crank pulley. The one above it is the idler. Now that nut that you can see in the middle is the one you're going to have to tighten to get it to rotate around. Now I'll put this bit of mirror here, and that shows you what I'm talking about. Just below that you can see a drill bit. Now that is in a hole in the casting, and once you twist that you should, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, should be able to align the drill with another hole and keep the tension off it. Okay, so I have managed to get the 4 nuts off. They're not that easy to do, it's quite tight down there. 4 I was able to do with a ratchet spanner, and the other I had to use a socket through the front pulley. I've released the tension a bit more by on the belt by taking off the alternator pulley, and while I was doing this I did notice that the bearings have totally gone in that water pump, which is why it's failed. So I'll now prise the water pump off and get the new one ready to go back in. So that's managed to pry off quite nicely, but look at that. And you can actually see these fresh bits of aluminium where the rotor, I suppose you'd call it, or impeller, has actually been hitting the inside of the water pump body. It's so worn. Okay, so I've just set up the tripod so you can actually see this, because this is really quite awesome, where you can see where it's been hitting the side and where it's been hitting the body. So hopefully once this is replaced, that will be my problem solved and it'll be a bit quieter. Right, so this is the new one ready to go back on. I've put this O-ring which came with the kit, that's a new one on there. I've cleaned up the surface on the car. This bit here, that tang, points towards the radiator. Basically you don't have much clearance here, so I think that's the determining side. So I will put that back on and bolt it up. Okay, so this is a little clip of the actual nut that you have to use. And you can see it's not quite a hexagon, that's because it's actually been squished on the sides to make it a lock nut. So you may find they're a bit soft, you may find you've damaged them. I have actually rounded one off. Thankfully I did manage to get it off. So I've got to use a new one to put that back on. These are actually 10mm spanner head. Right, so the water pump is now back on and tightened down. I haven't torqued them to any certain value, I've just done them tight. Hopefully the O-ring will seal very nicely. Before I release the tension on the belt, I'm going to fill it with water just to make sure it doesn't leak. And before you release the tension, also make sure all the serpentine belt is around all the pulleys. That's the water pump, the crank pump, and the alternator, and sitting nicely on the tensioner. Once you're happy, then it's just a matter of putting a bit of tension again on the nut on the idler, and then taking the drill bit out to release the tension.